FIDA. You guys, you've scared men for quite a long time. FIDA, FIDA. I'll take you to FIDA. But today, gentlemen, please be rest assured that not taking anyone to FIDA. We are just discussing an issue at hand. I don't know why FIDA Uganda is a threat to many men. Why?
I mean, I think if you're a man who fulfills your responsibilities to your family, to your children, there is really no reason why you should be afraid of FIDA. So, yeah, I think people will only be afraid of being held accountable if they don't do what they are supposed to do. If Ruben, if you fulfill your duties as a father, as a husband, then there's no reason why you should be worried. You should
be scared of FIDA.
Yes.
Now, looking at that topic at hand, we saw it was on the 12th December, if I remember very well, when I saw you and many others and Anita Nasozi going to court and saying the failure of government to have a law protecting cohabiting couples is its failure to fulfill its obligation to protect and promote rights of persons, discriminating them on the basis of their marital status. Now, first, from the legal perspective, from the FIDA perspective, what's the definition of a relationship where people are cohabiting? Who can we say you're cohabiting? Because one will tell you, my husband is married somewhere. I'm a second wife, so I'm not married. You know we have second wives, number bit. People, these are, you said you're talking about reality. So does that qualify them to be a cohabiting people in a cohabiting relationship? Or is it specifically me and you, we are in this relationship, but we've never had any of the forms that are considered legal in Uganda for marriage?
Thank you very much, Ruben, for that question. What we are looking at here is a situation where one man, one woman are actually living together, but they have not undergone a process to formalize their relationship. So that is our main focus. A very similar circumstance to that of the petitioner in this case, Nasozi Annette. She has lived with this man in one home, one man, one woman, and they have been together for years without undergoing any of the legally recognized forms of marriage in this country. So first and foremost, that is the kind of situation that we are looking at.
That you want government to come up with a law protecting these people?
Yes, yes.
Now, we know certain things that are legally right may be morally wrong. And maybe those are morally right may be legally wrong. If my daughter doesn't kneel to greet me, it's not a crime. But morally, it is wrong here in Uganda. So, let's begin with a moral perspective of what people you're bringing unto us. Here we promote, you get a woman, I'll speak for Uganda where I understand best. You get this lady, you go to the Senga, she sets a date, you get introduced, then if you're to continue, you go to church, you have a ring on your finger. That is our society. You get that respect, that dignity. Now these things you're pushing for, what do they mean to our culture, to our morals, even before you go to the realities of the law?
Thank you very much, Ruben, for that question. When we are pushing for legal protection, while we may be aware to what is held dear in society, I think it is important to also look at what the reality of that society is. So like you've rightly pointed out, marriage is held in a certain regard, in a high regard. In fact, some of the reactions to this case has been, oh, but they're watering down the sanctity of marriage.
Yes.
But the thing is that when we are looking at society, if you want to say that in this society what is moral is legalizing marriage or officiating union, but then the statistics are showing otherwise, it means that we shall then look to the issue of to what extent are we going to let our moral views as the majority or our religious views as the majority continue to suppress a certain category of people. If we are saying that we live in a society where marriage is held in high regard, then why is it that the statistics from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics actually indicate that there has been a steady increase in people who are in cohabitation relationships? So whereas what we think is ideal does exist, it is important that laws are actually alive to our realities. So the realities of our society is that whereas we shall hold ourselves as a country that is of high moral standing, the reality is that people are in cohabitation relationships. And for one reason or the other, they are not able to do all those forms of marriages, be it a traditional marriage, probably because of economic constraints, probably because of sometimes people are refused by their parents to marry certain people, but those are the people that they have chosen and that they want. I mean,
Muslim,
the reasons,
Christian and Muslim.
exactly, the reasons are endless.
Family backgrounds.
Exactly.
Education standards.
Thank you.
But that's where the heart is.
But you see, the thing is that these are two adults and they have made a decision to be together. So if for one reason or the other, they don't undergo that, you know, formal marriage or legalization of their union into what
Blessings
is illegally,
of parents and God.
into what is a legally recognized marriage, I think first and foremost we should look to our constitution, which first and foremost says that this country shall not adopt a state religion. That's not to say that we cast all our personal and individual values to the wind, but we have to also strike a balance and be alive to the realities of our society, which is that people are actually in cohabitation relationships. And for as long as that is not actually infringing on any other person's rights, then I think it is in order that the government actually takes due responsibility to make sure that those people don't suffer exploitation and that they have the same protection that the people in what the highly regarded institution of marriage are enjoying. So that is why we are saying that, yes, we understand that people hold marriage in high regard, but the reality is a lot of people are actually in cohabitation relationships. And this is the other interesting thing, by the way, Robert, about even what is the most common form of marriage that you just talked about, customary marriage. I can assure you there are quite a number of instances where when things go sour between a couple, this person will come and say, actually, I never married you. I was just visiting your parents. It was just a courtesy visit. So even you who thought that you were better than everyone else because you were in your...
a certificate.
You see, not all marriages, not all customary marriages will be registered. And unlike Kenya and Tanzania, in Uganda, it is not a requirement that your marriage should be registered in order for it to be recognized. You can actually prove your customary marriage through other forms of evidence, like photographic evidence, evidence of maybe a letter indicating how much dowry was requested for and how much dowry was paid, and so on and so forth. But you see that we have a number of instances where people actually come and deny when, you know, things have gone south. And they say, I actually never married this person customarily. I just went to pay a courtesy visit to her parents.
Okay, Susan, in this petition, what are you seeking? Because all we know is you want to compel government, those of the Attorney General, to come up with a law protecting cohabiting couples. So in this, what are the ingredients? What is your desire of a law like? Because most of the voices coming out indicate greed for property. That you women, everything is about you first in this law, maybe because we went through FIDA, where men have been put to order, like you say. But it is all about saying, what are we going with at the end of this marriage? What are we taking? It is more of property and wealth.
Thank you very much, Ruben. In terms of what we are really seeking, like you rightly pointed out, we want a law that will protect people in cohabitation relationships on an equal basis as the law that protects people in marriages. I remember a while back I was here and we talked about the succession amendment law. And one of the questions you asked was about people in cohabitation relationships. What about them? What has the law done for them? And yes, like I rightly pointed out, the law does not cater to people in cohabitation relationships. And it goes all the way, not just in succession matters, when a partner dies, but also in matters to do with protection of occupancy of land. So for example, in our Land Act, you cannot transact on your land, you can't mortgage your land, sell your land without the consent of your spouse. Be it a man, be it a woman. If I have my husband and I want to mortgage our family land or a family home, I have to get his consent.
Even getting a loan.
Yes, I have to get his consent. Otherwise, it threatens the occupancy rights of the spouse. So there are laws like that in the Land Act to protect spouses as well. And then, of course, also in issues to do with divorce, when the marriage has come to an end, there is also provision for distribution of the property that has been acquired during the marriage. So we are saying, if married people have those levels of protection within the law, then I think it is only right and fitting that people in cohabitation relationships also have similar legal protections at the point of separation, at the point of death, or even when it comes to issues to do with dealing with the land on which they are living as a family, as a cohabiting couple together. So when you talk about the issue of greed, and this is all about what women want to take away from marriages, what they want to walk away with from relationships, we are actually looking at what people in cohabiting relationships are able to walk away with first and foremost. So we are actually looking at it from the angle of discrimination on the basis of marital status, first and foremost, without even thinking about what women want or what men want, right? Then when we walk away from that layer of discrimination, or from that category of discrimination on the basis of marital status, which is actually a social status, like you rightly pointed out in the beginning, people hold marriage in high regard. So if you're married, you hold a certain social status. Our constitution prohibits discrimination on the basis of social status. So we are saying that discrimination on the basis of marital status, that is by not having laws in place that protect people who are living together, though not married, is actually unconstitutional.
Let me ask, sorry for interjecting. Do you want to make Ugandans believe that cohabiting couples, we can equate them to married couples in terms of status?
No. Clearly, the cohabiting couples are being treated as second-class citizens because there is no law that is protecting them. And what we want is for them to be treated equally in dignity and in rights by the law. It's what we are pushing for.
Yes, Susan, you Africans. This is where this is where you want to take us now.
But it is our reality. We cannot keep putting our heads in the, burying our heads in the sand, saying, oh, because marriage.
If, you know, previously, a woman would push or a man for marriage, you know, because of the status, the benefits. Now if people have cohabited and they feel they're of the same status, or the law recognizes them equally, why would people go through this hassle of saying, I think we should have this marriage? Maybe they will only be excluded in church where you have the marrieds, mothers' union, fathers' union. But for sure, I feel there's something lacking soon.
Maybe just to clarify, Robert, we are not trying to say that cohabitation should be recognized as marriage. We want equal rights for equal sacrifices that are made. If I live with my partner, but we are not married, you live with your partner, but you're not married. I give birth to 5 children, I cook, I clean, I iron his clothes, I look after our kids while he's away working. Your wife, who is a legal wife, legally recognized wife, respected in society, she also gives birth to 2 children, she cooks, She cleans, maybe she doesn't even cook or clean, right? Maybe she has house help, but she supervises them. In essence, what is the difference between the role that I am playing as a woman who is not recognized as a legal wife-in-law and the role that your wife is playing as a legally recognized wife? Are they not the same?
Definitely they're the same.
So why is it that she should have more legal protections than me? But also, before we go into any other question that you may have to pose, that issue about greed and what women want to walk away with. First of all, I think it stems from the assumption that women always find men with wealth. It does not recognize the fact that I will find this man without much, but because of my non-monetary contribution in the home. Non-monetary. Yes, and that is the key word.
I build this house. Yes, there is so much you do. Madam is watching, but okay. There's so much you do. Looking after the kids and all that. I've just received a message here from home. But anyway, thanks for being part of the show. There's so much you're doing at home. I respect all that. Looking after the kids and everything. Not even a very intimidateful. I've just gotten a message here saying I'm watching. But I know. Just to shape my questioning, I think. But at the end of the day, you know, I buy the land, I build the house, pay school fees for our children, even hospital bills when you give birth. Everybody is entirely on me. Yes, you do the chores and all that. Then, maybe there could even be reasons why this man has never formalized. So shouldn't we be looking at how to push these couples into doing the right thing than saying how we protect them in the wrong thing?
I'll reiterate my earlier point, which is we have to look at the realities. So what happens if I try to push this man to formalize our union and he refuses? Or he gives me the indication that he will formalize in the near future, but so that I can continue to stay with him, I continue to do all these things that I do to support him. And then, lo and behold, we have misunderstandings along the way, or unfortunately he passes on. What happens then? And that is why we are saying that we need to have protections in place, such that women are not taken advantage of. I would say that if you feel that women are being greedy, then think about what it means to have this person cook, clean, look after you. And before you trivialize the non-monetary contribution, please note that on the other side of marriage, it is recognized, it is rewarded. So why shouldn't it be recognized and rewarded for women in cohabitation relationships? But even beyond that, I may find you with land, as you very well know, the statistics in this country, because of our history, where women don't inherit, men are the ones who inherit. You will find that, of course, the gap is closing, but still, it is there. More men own land than women. So there are many circumstances where a woman will actually find the man with land, but she's the one who will contribute to the money that has built and everything else. But the land is in the man's name. You understand?
The land is the property of the man.
Yes, but she has actually made a direct monetary contribution. So
we
also have those instances as well. So it's not just about the non-monetary contribution that women make. They also make monetary contributions, but the history of gender imbalance is still following us. Even when we make monetary contributions, we are contributing to things which are not in our names. Because we have been told, oh, we are in love, come let's build a life together. Then you turn around and say, I think you should leave my property.
No, sometimes you can become the problem and you're no longer bearable.
But that is the thing. Separation, divorce, whatever it may be, is never easy. And that is
well, let me just remind my viewers, that is the number on your screen. My brother, my sister, we need your input in this topic. Susan is becoming very hard for me here, as she's explaining now non-monetary, now contribution. she's promoting half goals here. I don't know where they exist. But also, please, when you're sending your message, help me have your name. You can send a WhatsApp message on the number on your screen, 0709 60 25 92, 0709 60 25 92. Or you can send an SMS message. You may not have data or Wi-Fi or internet connection, so you can use the usual, even with the capability. You send a message on that number, I'll be able to read it out. And of course, Susan will give you the answer that you need regarding that. Susan, now we are looking at proper sharing, so that this person walks out of this relationship with her rights. She's not been discriminated based on her status, like you said, which our constitution properly stipulates. But let's also look at the fact that much as these relationships are on an increase, and statistics confirm that from 6%, then you got 15, now 20, 30, it's alarming the rate at which people are getting into cohabiting relationships in this country. But wouldn't we rather look for a law compelling these people that maybe for a particular time, they should be recognized as married people, so that they can qualify for that? Because you want to know at what stage if this relationship goes bad. Because cohabiting may lack commitment. Someone may move in with somebody, and it's not like people really maybe sometimes agree and rethink, involve families, involve meetings, what I'm talking about, and come to a marriage. Some it could be a relationship by convenience. Then someone says, I'm walking away. So are we going to look at a particular period that one qualifies to get this? You could come into my life today. Tomorrow I buy land. You came, I had a plan. I buy land. The next few weeks I've bought a car or fleet of cars. By the end of the year, I have a house finished. Then you're like, I'm moving out. This is property acquired when I'm with you, and you can justify that. Then you're telling me of late, I've seen very many men actually, they choose to move out of home and start a new life. Says, they leave the house to the man. So how fair is this going to be?
Thank you very much, Ruben. I think one of the various complicated circumstances or different kinds of scenarios.
Because in marriage, I'm sure I'll say, all I have, I give to you. I'm committing, I'm seeing it. All that is yours is mine. From today until maybe we die. My mind is awake. That Robert, and some of us, why we feared those are those commitments. All I have, I give to you, kweli kweli. All that is yours is mine. Until, there is a way it opens my mind. But here I saw pretty Susan, we began. Then after I have made my things, saying that through her non-monetary contribution, then she's taking my, you people, you're going to cause danger in this country.
Okay, first of all, even in circumstances where people are married, you have had men complaining about their things being taken, even when they were married.
Yes, at least there, I'm awake to the fact. You took the wedding vows, there's a certificate, you're awake to the fact, you consented that in case of this, let this be. Yes.
Okay, I think in terms of what are the, nitty-gritties, what are the different things that will be taken into account. That is the purpose of the law in the first place. It should be able to address issues like how long parties have been in the relationship, whether there are any children, whether there was actually any intention to not get married from the onset, at what point was that intention made clear. I mean, we have so many countries that we can, benchmark on to develop this law. But the bottom line is you have a law in place that offers some layer of protection for people in cohabitation relationships. All these different scenarios that people are talking about. What if this, what if that, what if X, Y, what if Z? That is the purpose of the law in the first place, to clearly articulate what the rights are in whatever given circumstance. The bottom line is we need for there to be a law that offers protections. Just like even in the laws that provide for, various protections for people in marriage, they provide for different scenarios. What happens if, for instance, you had separated for
the High
over
Court
2
gave
years.
us a golden ruling. They say to be basing on your contribution, not at automatic 50-50. We said those judges deserve a bottle.
We shall get to that issue very soon, but...
And I know that it go well with FIDA Uganda.
No, not at all.
Well, let's look at some of the messages that are coming in, and I'll begin with those that are on SMS. We have, how about if a woman gets rich from your house and decides to drop you after wasting your time, like 10 years, yet you have produced 2 children with her, much as you're cohabiting, do what happens? Susan, this is Fred from Bali. I think that's it. Then what happens? The woman gets rich because, yes, you could be married and you earn, even you get a better job, you do what? So do I also now benefit? But while we are looking at the questions coming in now, we have, good morning, this is Abog Patrick Okabe from Gulu. These women gave us life, but they should have hearts. Please, Ugandan women. He's seeing this as something really, is cohabiting legal or unnecessary evil? By Patrick. Please don't call the line, you're disorganizing the reading of these messages. Then we have Rita. I'm Rita from Kira. At what stage does cohabiting couple become legal? That is a very good question. Then they should, okay, someone said, they should first look at what it needs to get married and to whom the cost, which too much are hinder people from getting married. He's saying we have to first look at what it takes and who bears the burden for this marriage. The burden, most of the times, it goes to the man. They're the ones struggling and all that. So he points out that, says, thank you for the update, and most of our fellow Ugandans, in cohabiting, he talks about cohabiting marriages simply because it is very expensive to formalize a marriage. Let them look at issues like bride price and how this can be reduced, and look for a law regulating that than disturbing us with such Western world influences to Ugandans. Hi, Robert. Let them make a law that bride price and groom must have a business or a job before getting married, so that after marriage, the main focus is not on property. I'm afraid FIDA is over copying the whites. If they complicate life in a home, then it could be an agent, or he goes to the extreme of homosexuality. Okay, let's first answer those, then I'll go to the WhatsApp. Let's first look at those that I've been reading from text messages. Western, you're copying Western, soon you'll even be pushing for legalization of same-sex rights and all that.
Okay, I think when someone says that we are copying Western ideology, I think that is a bit inaccurate, in my opinion, because if you're to look at how often people in Western countries actually legalize their unions, it is at a much higher rate than us here. Because for us, we make it a money affair, as a matter of fact. So even the people who have been raising issues about the expense that comes with legalizing your union or getting into a formal marriage. I mean, we have had rulings like Mifumi versus Attorney General, where they say, for example, returning of bride price is unconstitutional, but also bride price is something that can be negotiated. It does have to be a lot, that has to be given.
Those Today, my friend, if you want to get introduced, you know what your budget is.
But you see, it is choice. It is choice. Because I can even say if the traditional marriage is too expensive for me, I'll just go to Uganda Registration Services Bureau and contract a civil marriage with just 300,000 shillings paid for my marriage notices. You see, eh? So at the end of that day, I think it's about what people actually want and what it actually means to, you know, fulfill what is considered to be a colorful or beautiful ceremony that people will talk about, and you understand. So whereas we have actually very many options where we can formalize our marriages without incurring a very huge cost, it goes down to what is held in high regard. You get? Will my wedding ceremony be the talk of the town if I just go to Uganda Registration Services Bureau or not? So it's also about issues to do with societal pressures as well, which will push people into staying in cohabitation relationships for a long time, expecting that, oh, at a certain time, I'll get money to do the wedding of the year, and maybe that time comes. For some people, that time comes. For some people, it never comes. And they have misunderstandings after staying together for a long time, or one of the partners passes on after they've stayed together for a long time and they've not gotten to that stage of doing that.
Well, Susie, I have a very interesting one from a fellow advocate. He says FIDA seeking equal rights for cohabiting couples is similar to recognizing lawyers who hold out as advocates because they have a law degree but have no practicing certificates, and suggesting that they should also be allowed to represent clients in court. The law gives rights to advocates only. It does not matter whether you have a law degree. So it does not matter that cohabiting couples associate like married couples. The rights are for only the married couples. Counsel Richard. So since you're an advocate, this you'll understand better.
Thank you. To that, I'll reiterate by saying that being in one form of relationship, in this case, whether you're in a cohabitation relationship or a legally recognized marriage, does not take away the obligation of the state to protect. So, of course, drawing a comparison with people in cohabitation relationships and lawyers versus advocates is not, first of all, a fair comparison, especially reason being that in one, you're looking at, you know, whatever privileges one wants to have in appearing before court vis-a-vis actual rights of individuals. And you see, the thing is that we have to look at why do we have laws in place that protect rights of people when they divorce or when one dies in marriage. It's about protecting social security of a person. If I have spent all my youthful years with you as my partner, like I like the gentleman who asked the first question, what if it is the woman who has made the money and I have produced children with her, and then she has made a lot of money and now she wants to get rid of me? It just goes to show that this is not per se women versus men issue. This is an issue about social justice and social security for people in the family unit. So if I have made you spend your youthful days and years with me, supporting, even if it's just supporting emotionally, because not like for a man, I will guarantee 100% that because of the way we are raised and the gender roles we are made to appreciate when we are growing up, is that men don't cook or clean or do whatever. But as a partner, you play more than just a role of cooking and cleaning and producing. You give me emotional support. You encourage me when I'm down. Even just few things like picking children from school to enable me catch my meeting with some big investor when I'm, you know, chasing that money. It is a contribution. The thing is that it is a partnership. So if I have made you spend all your youthful days and years with me, the purpose of family law, be it divorce law, be it succession law, is to make sure that when there is a misunderstanding, the people who have contributed to the development of the growth of that family, be it financial development, be it, individual development, looking after children and raising them, you know, into full human beings. You know, it even goes beyond just bathing and washing the kids. Raising children, parenting is more than that.
Let me give you another interesting one. Bro Chirabo, thank you for hosting the lawyer. Marriage is a lifelong contract. If there is no contract between a man and insurance companies only compensate those with policies with them. At least they must have customary marriage. If they cannot go to church or to the registrar, it is a matter of discipline. Women must be made aware of opportunity costs of cohabitation. David Brandford Naguru Kasese.
I think that person just made my point for me. You have all these legal protections in place that are covering married people and leaving people in cohabitation relationships out. So I don't know what, because he has made a very clear illustration of it.
If you refuse to if you failed to have a contract, then don't desire for benefits of power of contract.
I think the point that people are missing in raising that question of if you want to obtain certain benefits, then you should actually get into that. I think it goes back to the issue that I raised earlier, and that's the clearest example that I can give. When you said women should be able to push men for these things, right? First of all, you're putting the responsibility on the woman to be the one to push this man into the marriage.
There are men also who push, and maybe the lady is still calculating, looking here and there, and say, we shall go.
Regardless.
You rather first build, why spend money?
Regardless, that just goes to you that we want to avoid what you call exploitation. You're benefiting from me. Whether you want to look at it as my non-monetary contribution is meaningless or not as important, the thing is that you staying with me, you're benefiting from me one way or the other. And it is actually contributing to the growth of our family. You understand? So the purpose of having a law in place is to actually ensure that people are not left destitute when this relationship comes to an end, whether by separation, whether by death, or by any other means. That's what we are
Well, Susan, in the interest of time, I'll just give you, the messages are so many. Thank you so much for this feedback. Let me just have your final word.
As we close, I would like to say that it is important that we look at each other and other people that we think may be better than us as equals. Whereas society has accorded very high regard to marriage, the reality of our society as Ugandans is that a lot of us are in cohabitations. The purpose of family laws is to provide social security for people in the family unit. So if those social securities are there for people in marriages, I think it is only right and fair, and it is the obligation of the state to ensure that similar protections are given to people in cohabitation relationships. The failure to get into a legal marriage does not take away the obligation of the state to protect people in cohabitation relationships, and that is why we are pushing for a law on the same. Thank you.
Very interesting discussion. Thank you for your messages. There are so many, and they're all very, very interesting. Well, Susan, for us to stand on religious, then moral, we hope and pray that this may not be one way of people saying, as long as we have this protection, but push and do the right thing before God, before our culture and our traditions, but also recognize that, let's be real, this is what is happening in our country, and we cannot continue paying a deaf ear or a blind eye to realities. See you in the next hour. Good day for now.